Hello guys, welcome to a new video. So today we've got the 6.3.6 path. We'll be going through the easiest path on this one. So it begins with Colossus and ends with Beast. And then you've got the Aegon mini fight and the Captain America Infinity War boss fight. So along this path we've got aggression, Counter-Strike and unblockable. So all of their special attacks are unblockable. So that is obviously something you have to watch out for. Make sure you bait the easiest ones. Or the easiest special attacks. For example, on Colossus it's both, or SP2 I find a bit easier, but when you get to the harder fights, sort of a Vulture, SP2 is a little bit trickier than an SP1, but if you get used to them you can dex them both. The same with She-Hulk, but then you've got Magneto in there, who is a lot more tricky in my opinion, and he can be a bit of a tricky one. There aren't too many really difficult fights along this path. I would say this is a relatively easy path. The Rhino caused me a bit of grief. As you'll see here, I managed to take him out quite nicely with Immortal Abomination. However, he took off a fair chunk of my health, so that was a bit of a shame. But this will be the last fight in the chapter. So after this, we will be back and we will be at 6.4. I think I'm going to go and try some newer things in the future. I think I'm going to go with, I'm going to do it for 2 or 3 videos and see how you guys enjoy it. And then hopefully I'll get a few comments. Let me know how you prefer it. So for example, in this video and in some of the past videos, I've been showing all the fights. However, I know when I've been looking for videos to help me, the boss fight is the main bit, and just getting an understanding of the nodes, because obviously they are the same on every champ if you take the same path. So you don't really need to see, or in my opinion, I don't feel like every fight needs to be shown. It can make the video a bit longer and you don't really get the information you're looking for. I usually skip to the boss fight. So for 6.3.1, which or 4.4.1, sorry, which is Iceman, and then 4.2, which is Thor Ragnarok, I'm going to be showing a few of the fights just to get the nodes and then the boss fight, and that will be all. If you guys like that idea, or the video will come up tomorrow, so you'll see it. If you like that, the way that video's done, then leave a comment, or if I get more likes than normal, then obviously I'll know that you guys are enjoying it. Or leave a comment and just say you prefer the old ones, and I'll go back to showing all the fights. But as I said, this is the last chapter. This fight is probably the hardest of the fights, in my opinion. The Magneto fight, as where he lifts the ground special attack. I can't remember, because obviously each Magneto has a different version of which one they do. I think his SP1 is the trickier one to dex. Yeah, his SP1 is the trickier one, but his SP2 is the that big clump of metal. So if you're able to get used to evading them, then this fight is made a lot easier. But as I said, there's nothing if you can dex them, there's nothing too difficult about the path and the fights on it, except from sort of the champs that you come up against. So obviously Magneto is a relatively difficult champ, but apart from that, every other champ is very easy. And for an end of chapter quest, it's one of the easier ones. Magneto's obviously taken me out there and I've struggled. However, once you get past Magneto and you've got the Rhino fight done, there aren't too many fights left that are tricky. You've got She-Hulk, an easy fight. Beast is an easy fight, and Aegon, who is also an easy fight. All special attacks can be dexed for those guys. So yeah, not too difficult. I would say counters to this, you can really just use any champion that you like for the for this path. Some champs make it a little bit easier, so obviously champions that can block special unblockables are a bit easier. However, also champions who do a lot of damage, so they don't get to throw too many special attacks, can also be quite a way to go. But it's heavily deck dependent and who you prefer the most. So obviously I've taken, as you've seen in a lot of my videos, I've taken in the same champs every time. I've rotated between maybe 7 or 8 with the 5 that are on the screen now. Thing is in there. Falcon can sometimes be added in. And Immortal Abomination is obviously in this one, but maybe Ultron's not in it. So mine's very dependent on who I fancy, who fits. if I'm able to do it. So yeah, this act, or this chapter especially, there's a few fights which are a bit more niche, and you need certain champs to help you go through it. However, I would say that this act, or this quest especially, is one where you can really choose the champs that you find the easiest to play, or who you think are your favourite champs, and take those in. Examples would be sort of a Corvus Glaive. Obviously, everyone knows he's a good questing champ. All of the top tier champs, a Doctor Doom is always useful. Warlock, obviously, Null, Kitty Pryde, Hercules. They all work for this one. Any champ that you've got probably works. And then when you get to the boss fight, which is coming up in a minute, you've got a bit more of a strict, or not so much strict, but I would say a Hercules is very good for the boss fight. Falcon is very good. Stark Spidey is very good. Killmonger is very good. Champs really who do is crit me with your best shot. So that is the node. A bishop would work, obviously, with massive SP2s if you can crit them. But yeah, you get a crit. The only way he can take damage is through critical hits, so it can make the fight a little bit longer. But obviously I took in a Falcon, so he was really useful with that scan. He did a lot, had a higher chance of getting the criticals, and did a lot more damage. But as I said, again, it can be up to you, because there's no real champ who you absolutely need, as these are nodes you can work around. The other node that I would say is a bit more tricky, and is one that sort of got on my nerves, is the destructive feedback. So you would have come across this in a previous chapter, or on a previous quest. It's the one where at the beginning of the fight, and then for every 15 seconds, he has a kinetic shield. If you hit him in that kinetic shield and then he hits you back, then you take all the damage that he has had. And then if he doesn't hit you, or you don't, he takes that damage at the end of those 10 seconds. However, the way I went about it, and as you'll see in a minute, is that the best way I found was to just not hit him in the kinetic shield, parry, but try and not get hit. Basically just, dash back and dex as many of the hits that you can. This makes it a lot easier. You don't take as much base damage, and can make the fight a whole lot easier. He's also got unlimited power, so every debuff that you apply on him, he gets a fury buff. But if that fury buff is then nullified, he gains 15% power. So you've got to make sure that you maybe don't take in a nullified champ, because they can make it a bit more tricky, give him a lot of power. However, if they've got power control, again, it's that that little bit makes that easier. However, I would just stick with sort of your Hercules, although that infuriate could be a bit of a annoying one, but somebody who doesn't maybe have so many debuffs, as you'll see here, I go with Warlock into the kinetic shield. However, I probably should have played the fight a lot smarter. I didn't really read the node, so for those first fights, I didn't really take a look. However, going into this, you'll see that I eventually learn what I'm doing, and then I won't know quite yet until, as you see there, I took a hell lot of damage, and then I think, there must be a different node on this one, because I'm a culprit for not reading the nodes, like I know some people are. However, I do it again, so clearly I've not learned my lesson. But yeah, this fight can be easy if you know all the nodes that are on it. Reading the nodes obviously helps an absolute ton, but just don't push them to that SP3. Try your absolute best to bring in champs with high critical ratings, or who are likely to crit. That makes the whole fight a lot easier. But I would say that he's not one of the trickiest bosses on the map. So again, if you can get around this destructive feedback and you've got crit me with your best shot, obviously that will do a lot of damage back to you, because they're only critical hits. Another point just to remember is that because because of this champ being the boss, it means that glancing is a bit more common, so you want to try and do sort of as much damage as you can. As you see, I shortened this fight a little bit. I went in a couple times with Falcon, had to use some units on it, which I regret a lot now, because I need them for my 6.3 or 4.5, the tech boss, and then for Grandmaster, and I've not got loads, so I need to go on a bit of a unit grind. But it doesn't matter, this is all gone now, so I'll leave you guys to watch the rest of the fight. It will be over in just a second. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are liking it. You're enjoying this series or this video of sort of my walkthrough. I think I'm going to add a little mastery video in tomorrow as well, so that people can see what masteries I'm running with, which masteries are a bit easier or that I find useful going into these quests, because I know a couple of people have been asking. And then we'll get into the new types of videos, like how I was saying about the Iceman and bits like that, and we'll go from there. So let me know what you thought about this video. Have you enjoyed it? Leave a like if you have, subscribe, leave a few comments. I'll leave you guys to watch the rest of this video. Enjoy.